guys, I am Angelo Ramos. I'm an American photographer here living in Spain, and this is my first ever YouTube video. I made this video because on my Instagram I had a lot of people asking me questions about how I edit my photos, what my process was, and it was hard for me to talk to everyone about it because every question was so individual and unique to the people. So I decided to start this YouTube channel and show some of my techniques of how I edit my photos. Again, these are going to be my edits. It's not necessarily how you would edit the photos, but it's how I do it. So I'm going to get into it right now, and if you like what you see, please remember to subscribe to the channel and there'll be more videos coming in the future. So editing your photos, here we go. Let's do this. Okay, so first photo of the day is from Cat KM. She is a photographer that I follow on Instagram. She's great. Looks like this is a possibly golden hour shot, I think. I'm not sure exactly what time it was taken. But let's dive into it. Let's see what my edit can be. And again, these are my edits. Not how you would edit, how I edit. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so one of the first things I did was I always crop it to 4:5 because that's the normal crop size for Instagram to get the biggest size on the screen. And then I also added my preset On Fire, and On Fire it enhances the orange tones, but it also makes it a little bit darker, so I had to increase the shadows and I had to bring the whites down and the highlights down as well. And I also adjusted the saturation and the hue of the yellow tones here, and I brought up the clarity, and I enabled lens correction. So the lens correction corrects all of the faults with the lens. Okay, so next photo up is an amazing mountain shot from Peter Brunner. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Let's see what we can do with this one. This is interesting because I don't really take a lot of landscape pictures. I'm more of a city, street photographer. Sometimes I do some shots of the sea. Let's see what I can do with this. Let's see. Okay, so for this one I enabled the lens correction right away. I applied my preset muted greens, which it kind of makes things crisper, but it also reduces some light and some color. So I had to kind of bring that back with the exposure and the shadows. I always drop my whites down really low. With this, I saw that in the clouds there was some orange tones, so I changed the hue of the orange tones to make them pop a little more in the picture. And I did the same thing with the blues because I saw the blue skies were popping through as well. And the yellows, I added a little more yellow to the sky to make the clouds pop completely. I took away the grain. I increased the blacks as well after, and I added a lot of contrast to make it a little more epic. And then I changed it to 4:5 for Instagram because it just looks better that way in my opinion. And added a little bit of a vignette, and that's it. Okay, so next photo up is from Adrian. He is a Galician photographer from the same city that I live in, and this is a golden hour beach shot. I'd like to pick a couple of golden hour shots because I have a few presets that I have. I have one in particular that tends to work really well with golden hour shots, so I think I'm going to use that preset in this one as an initial layer, and then I always, I usually edit down when I do a preset because sometimes it's a little bit too intense. And there are buses that are driving by, so I'm sorry if you hear like a bus in the background. My bad. So for this picture I didn't do a whole lot. I applied the On Fire preset, which gives it that nice bright orange tone, which I also reduce. I also enable lens corrections. I dropped the highlights a lot in this photo, and I dropped the whites a lot too. I left some of the shadows in and some of the blacks. And I also increased the saturation of the yellow and the orange tones. And I noticed in the sky that there was a lot of noise in the orange and the blues, so I applied some noise reduction to that as well to clear that up. And that's pretty much all that I really did to that one, because it was a nice photo to begin with. Okay, next photographer up is Tomas. I discovered Tomas from a magazine that I was also featured in called Fuji X-Passion. It's a magazine for Fujifilm shooters, and they pick some of the best Fujifilm shooters in the world, and I found Tomas from this magazine. And he was very nice and sent me a raw file of a city shot. Just my thing. I love taking city shots. And let's see what we can do. It looks like the sky is a little bit bright in this one. Let's see if we can reduce that and give it a little bit of mood. Let's see what we can do. So for this picture I wanted to have some of the pop, but also I wanted to have some gloom. So I used my preset Make It Pop, which is good for cityscapes like this. I wanted to increase the contrast a lot, but I also wanted to reduce the highlights and the whites to bring out some of those clouds that were in the sky that you couldn't see before because it was kind of blown out. So you can see a little bit of the clouds now in this picture. And after I did the white balance, I adjusted some of the oranges because they were popping a little bit too much for me, some of the blues as well. And then I applied a vignette to give it that dark, moody feel that I always like for my photos. And then I applied a linear gradient, and I applied it on top to kind of even reduce that brightness in the sky a little bit more to bring out more clouds. And it worked really well. Dropped the highlights of that, and I dropped some of the whites of that as well. I added some texture to bring out some of the water, the texture in the water. And that's pretty much about all I did. So final picture of the video, part 1. There's going to be a part 2 and probably part 3 because I have a lot of people sending in pictures that they want me to edit for them. Is from Luke, and Luke sent in this long exposure dusk shot. And I picked this shot especially, one, because just right away it's an amazing shot, and two is I don't take these kind of photos, so for me it's going to be kind of interesting and exciting to edit this one because I've never edited a photo like this before. So let's see what I can do with it. Okay, so with this one I first started off by cropping it to reduce some of that water because there was a little bit too much water for me. So I took away some of that, and then I applied my muted greens preset, which gave it like a nice, rich, gloomy, crisp view. And then I made the geometry auto to make the buildings look more upright because they were kind of slanted down. And then I increased the blacks, reduced some of the whites. I brought more of like a purple hue to the oranges and more of a more of an orange hue to the yellows, and I increased the saturation of both of those. Then I increased the blacks a little bit, and I saw a little spot on the lens or something on the picture, so I just did a healing brush to remove that as well. It might have been like a speck of dust or something on the lens, and that was pretty much all I did. Okay, so that's it for the part 1 of the editing your photos video. Thanks a lot to everyone who sent me photos in. I had a lot of submissions. I picked these ones out specifically because I thought that they fit the theme of this video, but everyone else who submitted, I promise I will get to your photos in the next videos, probably part 2 and maybe even a part 3. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel and follow me on Instagram. Also, the presets that I use are going to be for sale in my Etsy store that you can download, digital download right away, and you can put them in Lightroom and you can use them however you want. I'll put the link in the description below. Thanks a lot everyone, I really appreciate it. This is going to change, hopefully get a little bit more ritzy, hopefully a little more like a real studio, but you know, first video, gotta start somewhere. So thanks a lot guys, take care.